Hey, great.
Hey, Jeremiah.
So who do you got in a fight? Master Yaddle and Yoda or Master Katara and Toph? Who do you got?
Who are those two people?
Katara and Toph from Avatar?
From Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh,
I got it. Obviously, not them. Master Yaddle
I don't like
Yoda.
this game.
Drew, who do you got?
I got Toph and
Wait, is this part of the recording?
This is part of the recording. We just ruined the whole cold opening.
Okay, let's redo it.
Nope, we're leaving it in.
No.
Everyone, welcome back to another booktastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And I'm Grace.
And we are back with a very fun already episode. As you can tell from our cold opening, it was a train wreck, but...
Okay, to be fair, I watched all of Avatar: The Last Airbender during finals last year, so I feel like I wasn't fully processing it. I clearly need to go back and rewatch it all and internalize the story a little bit deeper.
But yes, if you want to know why I brought up Avatar: The Last Airbender,
I want to know why.
Well, the ending of the book. Didn't you finish the book, Drew?
I did today, actually.
Well, then it should be fresh in your mind. But we're not here until we got a lot to go over tonight. But we got some comments on Spotify from last week because last week was the finale of Skeleton Crew, and so we got a bunch of extra comments on.
Grace, you're caught up, right? These are
I'm caught up.
Okay,
I'm
good.
caught up.
Yep. And we got a little bit longer answers on some of these too. But we got. Shappy Matthew says, commenting for the algorithm. Thanks, that helps us out a lot.
Yep, I'll take it.
A. Donaldson says, only 10 minutes into the podcast, but I thought this episode was too short, and now they kind of forced themselves to have a season 2 with all the unanswered questions. Also, I thought everything seemed too rushed in a sense that the episode was actually only around 30 minutes. I think it was a rush because it was so fast. Everything was boom, boom, boom.
It was just a war. Like, the whole thing was just a battle.
Kind of like this book. Jonathan says, it was a fun, exciting finale, but I thought it was too predictable. All the obvious foreshadowing came into play, and there were no twists or surprises. Also, I thought the ending was too abrupt. I wanted to see what happened on Aten after these events. How did the Republic react? What did Jod do? I waited for a post-credit scene. There was no closure, but loved the B-Wings, and the whole series was great, but the ending left me a bit hollow. Great job, as always. Love the pod. Maybe Ain Zunza 15 says, I thought it was an okay finale. It was a fun show, but it wouldn't be something I recommend to non-Star Wars fans. I'd like to give it a 5 out of 10, very average. I kind of hope they don't have a season 2 and just leave it as is. I feel they wrapped it up fine, and I'd rather them focus on a different project. For that, I want to actually read a comment someone posted in the Discord about the finale from Mark Hyber in the Discord, also known as Marina. Shout out to Marina. I know you're listening. She says, I was just thinking Skeleton Crew feels like a really good introductory show for friends who are hesitant to get into Star Wars. And I don't want to start with A New Hope or Phantom Menace. I have one that I have one like that, and might give this show a try with her, especially because lightsabers are cool. Pirates, adventures with unknown enemies and allies. What's the Empire? Like, there's a lot of Star Wars lore packed into the foundation of the show that will allow you to gauge what direction is best to take with a new fan, which I agree with.
I agree too.
I agree.
That I think this is a great show to get someone into, because it's not like you don't have to know anything.
Yeah.
But it has that lore that little Easter eggs and stuff that can get people intrigued. So thank you, Marina, for that comment.
I think what we would have liked, like deep fans, we would like a cameo from like someone, right? But like they didn't really give us any of that, which honestly is better for someone that's jumping on board to Star Wars and that was their first Star Wars experience. It's better because they didn't get like, who the heck is Thrawn? Like whatever the spoiler, like whoever the character could have surprised us and meant a lot to us, but not to someone else. There was nothing like that in this show. So I think it's like more of a reason why you can just like throw it on to a family member that doesn't really know much about Star Wars and still understand the story.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense for that reason.
Yeah. Dazdor says, show was okay, not that exciting. The visuals were great, but the story did not hook me. And finally, Garrett says, I'm really glad they had full direction planned out from the start and executed it wonderfully.
Mm-hmm.
But Grace, what were your overall thoughts of the finale and series? We got your one episode review with us, but
yeah, no, I think I agree. Like it's a fun, self-contained story. It was pretty well made. I thought the kids were cute. I do agree with some of the commenters that I felt like there were a lot of mysteries in the finale that were left unsolved. But if they can like do a quick turnaround on the second season and it actually comes out, I don't think that's an issue. Like it's a fun space TV show and like maybe it connects to bigger stuff and maybe it doesn't and like I'll be okay with it either way, I think. Assuming they make more. I feel like if it just ended, I would be a little bit sad.
yeah, they have a season 2 planned out, and the writers of the show said that the jump in the timeline would align with the aging of the actors in real life. So,
nice. Okay.
But
has it been greenlit by Disney?
It has not officially been, but I feel like this year we'll get news that it was renewed for second season.
I don't know why they do this. Like I feel
like I disagree. I don't think we're getting any more from the because I don't think it was viewed. Yeah. I don't think enough people watched it.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to get more of a show.
But it has good reviews though. That's the thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, if it doesn't hook the audience, then like nothing about like the viewership was so low on this show that the whole point of making shows for Disney is to keep that subscription going. And if it's not, and they're putting that much money into it, it's not going to come out.
But every show people complain about the viewership though. Like every series except for The Mandalorian, people complain about the viewing. Oh, there's no one's buying it, no one's watching it, but they still make the shows. So
yes, but this was like even lower than Acolyte.
Really?
Right, but Acolyte had high viewership because people wanted
low,
it.
Though.
They wanted to hate on it. People just watched it because it was terrible.
Correct. There was, but it was still low, and it's even.
But this one,
than that.
people didn't watch it because it was bad. Like
no, people didn't watch it because it was bad. Because
I know.
They just
but what I'm saying is because it has high reviews, there's going to be it's a long burn with the viewership going to be going up. So I think over the next 6 months, the viewership will go up. A lot of people are going to check it out, and then it'll get.
I hope you're right. I have very low hope because I just like I can see Disney like, no, we're not going to do it.
I wish then, like, knowing that there's never a guarantee, with the exception of Andor, which I think they planned in advance, like they gave him permission for 2 seasons. I wish that they would tell, like these Disney Plus shows would tell the creators, like, you need to wrap it up in the first season in a way where it could end. Like, I just feel like if they know there's a high likelihood it doesn't get renewed, it's so unacceptable then to leave such a huge cliffhanger. Well, like maybe a medium cliffhanger, but not like so many unresolved threads like they did here.
I think to your point though, Grace, their goal is to get an audience that's so intensely aggressive towards the ending and they want more that it'll push those people to greenlit it more.
Okay.
See, the only thing is with like Jad, that's the only open end for me. I don't really feel like
I don't feel like they need like there's nothing for me that's really like open ending. Like I'm curious on what you think, Grace, that is like
whatever happened with the mystery with Neil's family, like that we didn't.
That was a fail on our part.
There was
definitely a mystery.
That was just you guys wanting a mystery. There was no mystery. They're just elephants.
No, like what's that pirate? We still don't know what his story is. Like, why didn't they show his face? They're clearly like trying to have a mystery around that.
Maybe they're not. Maybe they got us.
Okay, but if there isn't, like, does it matter, Grace?
No. I guess not.
That's what
I'm
I'm
also
saying.
unsatisfied by the resolution of the mystery surrounding Atten, but I guess that's like just it. Like
I
it
think
was.
because the show probably wasn't a lot to make. Like you have child actors, they're not like making $10 million each. Like
I
they're
think the
probably.
budget was pretty expensive though, Jeremiah.
I don't think so. And compared to all the other shows, it was nowhere near. And the only reason Act Like got canceled was because of how much it cost.
True, that was like
It was the most
$48
expensive.
million. No,
It was
$148 million an episode or something.
No,
like
it
that.
was $230 million to make this show.
Oh,
They
added out
went,
to like
they went like $50 million over budget, and they're like, we can't make money off of this. Like even if it was a good show. But anyway, we're not here for Skeleton Crew. We're here for other things. But Grace said that she had a story for us that she wanted to tell us about her family vacation that she went. She said, I want to keep it for air if it's okay. I'm like, yep. Let us know.
It's not at all Star Wars related, so I feel like the pivot is going to be really hard. But
that's fair.
I was in Panama, which is where I recorded that like Skeleton Crew episode with Jeremiah. That was fun. That was when there was so much hope and potential for the show.
Oh god.
And for my life at that point. Yeah, so we were at a lovely like little house by the beach in Panama, but it was very remote, like about 5 hours from Panama City. And we had rented a car and driven there. And then when we got there, like the house was part of this larger resort. And they were like, it's the weather has been kind of bad. There's been a lot of rain. So like to drive to your house, we're going to give you a special 4x4 vehicle to like get down the little road to the house. And we were like, okay, like fine. Like we whatever, do a lot of outdoors things, like figured the car would be fine. And we drove it every day. It was fine. The road was wet and bumpy, but like no issues. And then it came to the day where we were checking out, like literally driving back to go to Panama City to fly to our like next destination. And we loaded this Jeep up with all of our stuff. And it had been raining the night before. So my parents even checked with like that we were in contact with the people at the resort. And they were like, don't worry, it's totally fine.
Oh, no.
So yeah, we start driving along and we get to this part where the road is super wet and it's like kind of adjacent to this river, which is now overflowing because there was a lot of rain. And I'm like the most anxious of anyone in my family. So I'm like, guys, like, I don't know. And my brother's like, no, it's totally fine. This car is made for water. I'm like, is it made for like being a boat though? I don't think so. But then we like basically didn't have a choice because the car slipped because the road was wet and then like slipped into the water and then the river had a current. So like immediately the car gets taken by the current.
What?
Yeah, I know. So again, my whole family is like, oh, it's fine, Grace. I'm like, it is not fine. We are drowning in this car.
As you guys are going down the river. Right
yeah,
now.
literally. Okay. So then the car starts taking on water, like out of a movie, like the bottom of the car is filling up. The car shuts off. We can't roll down the windows and the doors aren't opening because of the water.
And it doesn't have a snorkeler, I bet.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly. It doesn't have a snorkel. That's also what I was saying, Drew. Thank you. Like I was like, we don't have a snorkel. We can't go in the water.
Okay, so how are you still alive?
I know. Well, I was prepared to be brave, like out of a Mission Impossible movie and break the window. But luckily it did not come to that. My brother was able to like kick his door open and then in my like rush to get to safety,
was it a Wrangler?
It was a Suzuki.
Oh, so it wasn't a Jeep.
No, yeah, sorry. It was a 4x4 all-wheel drive.
Completely different.
Sorry, I forgot I'm dealing with another outdoors expert. I'm clearly not. Yeah, so I abandoned all of my possessions in the car, my laptop, my iPad, my passport, my AirPods. Microphone. Yeah, literally every single thing of value to me ever I left. And so it all went underwater and like all of it had to be replaced. My family members who lack the same self-preservation instinct that I have, like safely brought their valuables out of the water. So
Oh
I was the only one
my.
that lost everything, but
Oh
it's
my.
okay. We all survived. Technology
Wait,
is
so
replaceable.
True, but passports are how did you get
My
through?
passport was like fine. It was salvageable.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
ended up getting it, but then they were broken.
Yeah, we got everything back. Yeah.
So how did you then get to the airport? Like,
Oh, yeah. I mean, the saga continues. I mean, I'm sorry this is taking so long, but basically, we were like on the side of this river. We trekked back to the house with all of our stuff. We called the hotel and they're like, "Yeah, we can't get to you. You're right. It's a river." And we were like, but we have to go to the airport. We want to leave this country. And they were like, okay, we're going to send a boat. And in my mind, I was like, this is like, we're staying like at a hotel. Like this will be a normal like tourist boat. The boat that shows up, I wish I could show you guys a picture. I mean, I can show you guys a picture. And
I can imagine.
It was like
you go down a road that got over flooded. I can only imagine what this boat is.
it was like uncle somebody's fishing boat, you know?
oh
like,
no,
we're out there on this like choppy, stormy
oh
ocean.
my, yeah.
Yeah, with all of our bags like bobbing along, and eventually that was able to take us to a road where we could get in a car and drive back to Panama City.
What happened to your car?
Oh, like I'll show you what happened to the car.
Yes, please.
It was left in the river. I don't know what happened. This was in the river.
oh damn.
And this was my brother took a
Let's
picture
look at-
as he was getting out. Like this was the inside when he got out.
No,
I
that's
don't
a
know if you can
Jeep.
see.
That's a Wrangler.
Are you sure?
Yes,
Oh,
I can tell.
Okay, I believe you. Yeah, so that was it. I'm gonna stick to less adventurous vacations going forward.
At any point, did you feel like you were gonna die, or did you feel like I just gotta get out of the car and I'll be fine?
Yes, at all
Look
points.
at that river. I would have been freaking out. I probably would have drove up around. I don't know. I wasn't driving, but probably not. It seemed like the river overcame the road.
All right, well, again, we're glad you're safe. Because the thing is, like, if you did happen to die, like, we wouldn't know. You would just have ghosted us, basically, and we would have never known.
That's really grim.
That's really sad to think about,
Jeremiah.
Grace, at least like figure out to tell someone to message us on Discord so we can all.
Yeah.
There probably would have been a news article like American families swept up in floods in Panama.
Maybe.
And then I would have been like reading us on CNN. I'm like, wait, no, she didn't finish the Kira comics. Oh
no, our schedule's ruined.
Yeah,
no one to talk about Cataclysm with.
Right. All right.
Oh.
Wow.
All right. Well, quickly, Grace, can you maybe turn your mic down just a little bit? But moving on.
I was gonna say I was out of country, but I don't have a cool story like that. So.
Yeah,
where did you
London
go?
last
I went
week.
to London on Wednesday last
that's
week.
so fun.
All right, but
it was not like that.
We're here. We got a book review.
Okay.
So, book 2 of Phase 2 of the High Republic, and so this is like, other than the last book of Phase 3 that will be coming out this summer, that's all the adult novels for the High Republic that we have. So, I don't know if we're going to dive into any of those other side young adult ones or anything to get some more context on all the stuff that we missed. But the High Republic, it's been a fun time. And we got one more book, like I said, this summer, but then that's it. But last time, I felt like Drew and I were very underwhelmed by the book. But we have this book, and I know Grace kind of was like, I love these books. And then we kind of like, well, they're okay. But hopefully we'll have a better conversation with this one. But Drew, I'll let you go.
Why
what
me?
were your, I don't know. What were your overall thoughts of this book?
It was so much better than the last one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
I liked it. I think it was really fun to like have more perspective on Yaddle. Like that was really sweet. And it wasn't just like Yoda's character too. Like we actually got Yoda. In the other High Republic books, we just hear about him in the distance. Like Yoda's on another planet. We can feel him using the Force somewhere else. But like we actually got Yoda in this, and he actually had conversations, and he actually fought like in this war that was happening or whatever. So I don't know. Like I liked it. I thought it was fun. I I liked it more than the last one by a lot. And yeah, and I think it was really cool to see Yaddle's perspective throughout the book too. That was really fun. And they definitely made Grogu.
Yeah.
No,
Definitely. Definitely.
No.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite Star Wars book by any means, but it was fine. It was more enjoyable than the last one, and I liked it.
All right, cool. Well, I'll go next. I really love this book.
Oh my gosh, I'm shocked.
Honestly, this is like, on the podcast, I've read like probably almost 20 books now or something like that. This might be a top 5 book for me. Like,
whoa!
I really, really like this, and I was thinking like, why do I like this so much?
Yeah.
And so, what is my favorite Star Wars book? It's Eye of Darkness, the other High Republic book number 4 from the
That
Phase
one
1 and
is-
3 one.
Yeah.
Like Drew and I both love that book.
I
a lot.
love that book a lot.
And I think this book is kind of similar to that structure of that book. Because in that book, you have all these different storylines that are they're all independent from each other, but they all culminate into one event randomly. And it just all comes together. Same with this. There's so many storylines, so many things going on, and they all come together at one point. And I really like that. But also there's like some parallels. Like one, the mother and the path to open the hand, they're like the start of the Nihil.
Yeah.
So you get kind of like some parallels, like, during the battle, like they're just chaotic and they're just storming everything, basically, just kind of like the storm.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Also, like in the Eye of Darkness, with the wall, what do they call that?
The storm wall.
The storm wall. Like there was no communication because communication was cut off because of the storm wall buoys.
Whoa.
And the
it really
buoys
felt like
in
it
this
was
one,
like foreshadowing what they're gonna do in the future.
right? And so like the communications were cut off the same way, so no one could communicate with each other. And I thought it was just a lot of parallelism that was done well. It wasn't like obvious, like like, okay, they're just rewriting the same thing. Like it was very subtle. Like you have to pay attention, and it was like you could tell that the Nihil were just an amplified version of the path of the open hand. And
I had to keep reminding myself that this was before,
right,
because I was like, "Wait, why are they calling themselves the Hand? Aren't they the night?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is before." Okay, I had to keep reminding myself.
and one, I just think everything was well written too. The author was Lydia Kang. Like I thought she did a really good job writing. I thought she was very in depth with her descriptions and very like I just loved it. And maybe the biggest thing, there wasn't a lot of fondue in this book. So that just made it way better.
I was thinking about you the whole book. I was like, wow, I wonder if Jeremiah's gonna like this or hate this. That the character's just like written off.
And then he shows up randomly and he ruins the whole talk. I'm like, dude, you had open your mouth and you just ruined this whole thing. Like,
oh my gosh, that's so funny. The fondue hate.
but yeah, I thought this was a really good book. I did think it maybe was a little long. Like it was kind of like the battle was a little long.
The battle was like, I was like, all right, I could probably skip to the end and probably still catch all of it. But
right. So I was just the way I was just visualizing these scenes. I was like, this would have been such a cool TV series, like just this one battle. Like,
yes.
Oh yeah,
I would have been.
I kept thinking about the Clone Wars the entire time, like a Clone Wars show kind of thing. Like they could have easily made this like a battle.
Yeah, I mean these two books in particular, it's like such a self-contained story. It would be a good movie or TV show, but.
Yeah.
Not the first one, but this one.
Yeah, okay, fine. We'll compromise. I'll accept it.
All right, Grace, what are your overall thoughts of this book?
Well, I like this one less than I like the first one.
Oh, boo.
but I love this one. I read it for a third time before, like while preparing for this podcast, because I had read it and then I was like, well, I love it so much, and so I'd read it again on my own, and then I wanted to like refresh for this.
Have you
And
done? Did you
it's
do the audiobook for this one?
yeah,
Okay.
I've done the audiobook and read it. Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, I similar to both of you guys. I like that we both stay with like I love Gela and Axel, so we stay with them, and then we also like introduce the other storylines. Like I love Yaddle and Sippa.
Mhm.
I think that oh my gosh, Ada and the other guy whose name I'm forgetting. Like I like their
I got
dynamic
them.
as well.
Those two pairs, I kept getting mixed up. Like yeah,
Me too.
Sun
Oh, it's I think it's
and
Creighton Sun and
Ada,
Ada
and
Forte.
then
Yeah.
Shiro Roy and Enya Keen. Like I kept getting them all mixed
Yes.
up. Who's the Serene with the big forehead? I can't remember who's Padawan.
Yeah.
I
But I
kept
like
getting them
Enya
mixed
too.
up.
Yeah, see, it's just like a lot of fun characters, and some of them I think I had like maybe seen in other books, so it was like fun to see them everything come together. I love the battle, and I love how it like really
Something that bothered me though is because when the first book came out, the first High Republic book,
hmm,
which was that event that started this whole series, was after this.
yeah.
And they made it such a big point in those books that like these Jedis died, but they didn't mention this thing. And the
Yeah.
Jedis died a lot in this story. So it kind of like made me like I was like, this is they acted like Jedi's didn't die before. But then
Well,
this scene, like
I
they died a lot too.
well,
So I'm
I
like
just think that
confused.
this was just an isolated event,
But
and
there's so many Jedi's that
yeah.
died though.
I
but
agree with Drew. I have an issue with this as well. Like I'm expecting that the last book in the like phase 3 to explain why this history of like the path of the open hand and the nameless has been lost. Doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't have had a record of this, right? Like Yoda and Yaddle were still
Yeah.
alive.
well, okay, with the nameless aspect. Like I remember there was whatever I forget what book. I think it was the fourth book is when they brought in the Aslan guy
Yeah, who was
Mhm.
who
alive?
was a survivor from that battle on Jeddah, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so like I do like they kind of like didn't know, but we also got to understand that Yoda and Creighton's son kept the nameless a secret at the end of this book. So the Greater Jedi Order did not know of the nameless.
Yes,
Yeah.
I understand the nameless, but like people died. Not
Right.
just by Jedi's were dying not just because of the nameless though. But
But it was still an
Oh, I see.
isolated thing about the peace talks for Arano and Iram, and
yeah.
then and I don't think a lot of people know that the path of the open hand is the precursor to the Nihil. So they might have just thought it was a separate thing.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, I
that's
guess
Um,
true.
so.
It kind of just threw me off because I remember how much they were explaining that in that first book. And like even like when they're like we watched the video about how they're writing this or whatever, like this whole High Republic story and stuff. And they're mentioning like this was a big event. And now this is a prequel to that. And we saw like they at the end, right? Like they get their pathway their what's it called?
path of the open hand.
No, like
Oh, the hyper
hyper
lane.
they got a hyper
It's-
lane. Well
Hmm.
like Nihil end up like ruining that at some point. And so like that was like the big event. And the first one was that the hyperlane was crashed and it was like this big event.
Hmm.
And then these Jedi's died, and it was like the first time they were acting like Jedi's never died before.
I see.
And so
Yeah.
like for me, it was just weird that like they definitely covered it up. But we learned that also in like the Acolyte, like they just hid like the high like the they never explained when Jedi's died. Like they just acted like that what didn't happen.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was interesting too to see like Yoda hide that stuff at the end.
Yeah.
Like it just shows you. I feel like
Like
more
he
and more.
has a history of hiding stuff.
Dude, he
But I don't.
does.
We'll probably get into it later, but I don't really think he was necessarily in the wrong because what do you say? If the Jedi Order in the galaxy found out, like it would could be the end of the Jedi Order. So it's like everyone does that where they keep secrets from like things happen. Like parents will, if there's things going on, they want to protect their children from things. Like they don't tell them about things just to protect their kids. And it's like, well, why didn't you tell them? Well, to protect them. But it's like, I don't think Yoda was completely in the wrong, but it was like,
But he has a history of trying to like save this Jedi Order, and but if he would have, if it was gonna, it's gonna end anyways. So if he would have just done it then, maybe we would have the Jedi would have figured it out. You know?
and you also understand at this point he's not on the council; he's just a Jedi. So like he doesn't have as much
Oh,
power
really?
as because he's not.
I thought he was.
I don't think because didn't he get promoted to Grand Master in Phase 1, which is another 150 years before he's. Because I don't, or he might not even be a Grand Master or on the council during Phase 3, 1 and 3. I can't remember.
I don't know.
So like he doesn't have as much power as he did during
true,
the
true.
prequel
That's
era.
fair.
I
But
guess.
It's like more entail and more like showing how the Jedi are falling. You know,
Yes.
even this
exactly.
early
see,
on.
I don't agree with that in this book. I felt like this was the best we've seen the Jedi in
Well,
this.
I'm not saying it's not the best we've seen the Jedi and
I don't think,
and
Yeah.
stuff
but
like that.
I don't
but-
really think Yoda and Creighton's son were necessarily in the wrong for keeping it a secret because, like they directly say, we don't want to cause panic. We don't want to cause this information to get out because it would be do more harm. And so,
But
Yeah, but like their intention is, I agree with you, Jeremiah. Like the intention is good and potentially right. And I agree with you that the Jedi were like at their shiniest in this book. And like in the future, the decision to keep it a secret and not create like a good
Kills
record of
more
it like ends up
Jedi.
being really bad.
yeah,
So it's like both, I guess.
and we gotta understand, only like a handful of Jedi die from the Nameless in the Phase 1 and 3. Like, it's not like hundreds of Jedi are being killed by the Nameless. It's just like a few, like on the Starlight Beacon,
yeah.
and
Yeah, that's
then
true.
like
The last
Loden
book, yeah.
and Patri Veter and like a few other people. But like, I feel like more people were killed by the Nameless here than they were later.
All right,
Kind
let's
of
move on.
I don't know.
tells me
Agree
my
to
point.
disagree.
But there's a lot to go over in this book, so I'm trying my best with my notes to simplify things.
Well, and Grace
But
told us a 30-minute story about a car, so just keep
Jeremiah forced me. We can
I
cut
didn't,
that
I
out.
didn't force you.
We can't
You
cut
said
it.
you wanted to, so I
I don't
gave
want
you
to cut
that
it out.
opportunity.
The Force was
thought
with you, Grace. The Force was with you during that.
It just lets our listeners appreciate you more because
Yes, because
they connect
Okay.
with you on a human level, not just on a Star Wars level. So.
Okay, great.
But yeah, so I'm going to try and go through things as fast as possible, but based on how things are going tonight, this will be like a 6-hour podcast.
oh
so.
Lord.
Oh
Grace,
no, I
don't.
can't.
Oh, okay. So last book it ends with the marriage and Arano and Iram agreeing to do some peace talks that will be held on Jeddah. And so this picks up kind of during the time of these peace talks on Jeddah, and it opens up with the mother talking to a gentleman named Binot, and they're like, "Yeah, because we failed with the whole conflict between the two planets. I think it was a couple months later, or I can't remember how long they said it was, but like we gotta rehash out messing with these two planets to get them at war again." And so they have kind of like multiple things going on and how they're going to attack this. One, they're just going to start chaos on Jeddah and start riots and disrupt those peace talks there. Also, it's kind of not directly stated, but there is kind of like the fingers crossed that they would be discovered on Dalna, the planet Dalna, where their headquarters is, in hopes that they can fight the Jedi and the Republic there. But their big thing is Clytobacter. And so this is a biological weapon that would kill the smallest of bacteria and creatures in the oceans of Iram, and that would destroy the food chain and basically kill the planet over time. And also they wanted to rescue Axel. They have a plan for Axel because he's in prison. So that's how it starts out. I'm like, oh crap. Crap's going to hit the fan pretty soon. Like, this is not like easy peasy lemon squeezy kind of book. So I'm like, okay, who's the mother? Because I think it was just mentioned a little bit last time, but like we didn't really know anything about her. So I'm like, first chapter, we're getting all this information already. Super cool.
Yeah. And I will say, as a plug for the young adult novels in this phase, I think it's 2 of them as well, but you get a lot more on the mother if that's of interest.
Cool. So the main like villain is Binat, and he is with a gentleman named Goy, and they both go to the moon between Iram and Arano, and one of their ships blows up or whatever, and obviously the 2 planets are like, well, what's going on in our moon? Like, this isn't good. And long story short, they find out that these 2 are they're lying. They're not talking. Their story's not lining up about what's going on. They're just saying like they just move stuff from planet to planet. Like they're just going through like taking a shortcut. They're not really anyone. But Charil Roy and Enya Keen, they're the Jedi kind of investigating what's going on here, and they're the one that kind of figures everything out. And there's a scene in here that I really, really liked, that especially in the audiobook aspect of it, but when they catch him in the lie, Enya, like, it's like she pushes the force towards Binat, and like it moves around him, and then she's like looks at Charo Roy, and he's like, I felt that too. And I'm like, I don't know, just the way it was described, the way Mark Thompson was reading it, I'm like, this is an amazing scene. I'm like, what is going on? Like, it was cool as like seeing how the force works from like within Enya's perspective. Like, you can't see that in a movie or show. Like, you can't visualize that, but you can do that in a book. So it's like, there's an advantage of a book. And Binat is like, you don't know me, and basically, and they start fighting, whatever, because they get arrested, but then they start fighting, and he has poison, and like, stay back, whatever, and then whatever, Goy dies, Fontu gets stabbed, and Binat escapes. Any thoughts so far, guys?
No.
I feel like this is going to be me reading this whole, like, we go faster.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is super interesting. Like, this outside force, like, party is disrupting the peace talks on this, or is trying to cause the war again. And it's just like an interesting way to do that, where one, they use a Kaito Bacter because Iram's, well, Arano would have done this. Like, they're gonna it's a direct. So it's like they're already back yelling at each other about making false accusations, and it almost worked, like, on this part. But the good thing, like, the Jedi were there to like try and like calm down, guys.
Yeah, and I like that, like, Enya and Char Roy come back and are, I don't know, I don't know exactly how to articulate why I like it, but I think it's interesting to think about that, like, these 2 Jedi, like, their job is just to go around and like solve diplomatic conflicts, and so like, oh, we thought we fixed this issue on Iram and Arano, and like, actually we didn't, so like now we have to go into another war, but like, that's fine because we're Jedi and we just kind of roll with the punches, and we're always positive, and we like fix droids that got destroyed, and I don't know, yeah, Jedi are good, you know.
Yep.
I give them credit.
And so on the other side of this is the peace talks on Jeddah, and chaos. This goes awry there, and so a cool little Easter egg is when you're watching Rogue One and they're on Jeddah, you see that giant Jedi statue laying in the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah.
Like, and we find out that in this book that is at this war rioting that breaks out is what causes that statue to fall over. Like,
Yeah.
that's just a cool little Easter egg. Like, because everyone's
I
like,
also loved that.
because like when we watch that movie, it's like,
What is this?
did
Like,
they
what's the
build it like
history?
that so you could see it from the sky, or did it fall
Yeah.
over? And we find out that it falls. So that's a really tall statue, like to like stand up and then have it fall over and not break. It's kind of crazy, but maybe the Jedi were trying to catch it as it was falling and soften the blow a little bit. I don't know.
It's a good point, Jeremiah. I never thought about it like that. How did it just fall and land completely intact? It landed on sand. Perhaps it was the sand.
See, Anakin, sand's not that bad. It has some good uses. So that happens. And so because of the issues on Jeddah, Gela gets wind of what happens. And because she was about to start her path to become a way seeker, but she's like, no, now this conflict is happening again. Like, this is not good. I know who I can talk to because he's my only person I know that works with the path of the open hand. It's Axel. And she's basically like, I'm going to go see him and we're going to see if I can get any information from him in prison. And a Jedi joins her, Oren. What do you guys think of Oren?
He's funny. I liked him. He was a good foil to Gela too, because she's so stoic and like, I don't know, always ruminating. Like, it was nice to have a little comic relief who was also like wise and able to guide her. What did you guys think? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I pictured him as the dad from How to Train Your Dragon. That's how my vision of that's how he looked like and how he talked was kind of like the dad.
Well, yeah, the way he gave him the voice and
the Irish accent, like the Viking Irish accent, was kind of cool. And he was pretty fun guy. And even spoiler alert, as he's dying, he makes a joke to like just remember me, like whatever, laugh, whatever, something like that.
Yeah,
but
and it's a nice dynamic between him and Gela too, because I feel like despite the fact that her character is supposed to be like, you know, a 30-year-old mature Jedi who's very capable, it's clear that she also needs kind of an older mentor figure. And it seems like maybe her master has already passed away. She doesn't have like the mentor, or like her master isn't in the picture. So I liked that for them. It was like a good way for her character to develop in the story.
Cool. So I will follow a lot of this Gela story to Dalna, and then we'll go to another storyline. Just so, because if I'm going back and forth, this is gonna take all night. So
yeah, let's not do that.
They go to Papyr, which is where the prison is that Axel's held in, and Axel is having a hard time there, not because he's Axel, but because he's getting sick, in quotation marks. And because they say the atmosphere on this planet is kind of crazy, so some people just can't handle it; they get sick, and so they're trying to get information from Axel. But then, like, he like gets sick and passes out, and he's in the med bay, and like all this stuff trying to go on. And as they're kind of dealing with, I think they're there for like a day or two or a little bit longer time. Benot, he arrives in this Papyr system and he messes with the communication buoy. And what he ends up doing is altering a message from the Republic / the Chancellor. And the message is and so Gela hears it and like, oh, we want you to free Axel and take him off and bring him back to Coruscant. And they're like, this is a little suspicious, but whatever. It's the message, whatever. And so they take Axel and they leave. And as they're on their way, they get attacked by pirates. Kind of fitting that we just had a pirate show. And they get attacked by pirates, in quotes again, pirates. And they board the Gela's ship, and they're chaos. They're killing everybody. Everyone's getting shot and fighting and stuff. And then Binot comes last, and he's like, "Hey, Axel, old friend, come with us. We're here to rescue you." And he's like, "Awesome!" And he steals one of Gela's 2 lightsabers, and they're gone. And Gela was so mad, so
Oh, I felt
sad.
so bad for her. She was so like convinced that he could be a better person and he just let her down in the worst way. Like took the lightsaber, betrayed her in front of Orin. Like, oh, very sad.
Yeah, I felt sad for her too. But they're able to follow them, which is kind of weird that like they didn't like. It kind of seemed to imply that they didn't like just hit hyperspace and go. Like they were just like flying, like, which is kind of weird. Like were they that close to Jeddah or to Jeddah? Because well, he has a tracker on. It looks like they're headed towards Jeddah.
Yeah, I
So
don't know how that works.
I was a little confused, but this is still early in the hyperlane development, so maybe they're not readily available. But yeah, so they follow to Jeddah. They Binot and Axel, they kind of think they destroyed Gela's ship and killed him, but they didn't. They kind of Gela and Orin, they figured out what was going to happen beforehand, so they were to fix it so they didn't get killed. They were in a different ship, and so they follow them to Jeddah. Once they're on Jeddah, Orin and Binot, they board a different ship, and that goes to Dalna. And as they were following them on Jeddah, they boarded the same ship as stowaways. And so that's how these group of people, get to Dalna. And I think we'll stop there for that storyline. The next storyline, we have Master Sun and Ada Forte. They are sent by the Jedi Council / the Republic to go investigate the path of the open hand on Dalna. But they're doing it like undercover. They don't want to be, they're not going to like march in and be like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" They're going to kind of sneak in. And so they go, and during like this like comm call, like Master Yaddle like randomly shows up in this call. Like,
yeah.
Like, how did you get in? Don't they have to like let you into the conversation? Like, you just like whatever. So they're having communication issues, and she can't hear them say "don't go."
Yeah.
And she probably heard it as "do go" because it's spelled the same. I don't know, but she's like, "I don't know, don't go. I don't know." But she's like, "But I listened to the Force, and it told me to go." And that's like one of the things I like about this book is like I really felt that the Jedi were their own thing. They trusted in just following the Force, doing what the Force wanted them to do, jumping into the fight without being told. And so, yes, were in communication with the Republic and stuff, but I felt they had the most freedom that we've ever seen with Jedi.
And they were the ones that were solving the issues. It's not like the Republic was necessarily the deciding factor in this battle against the path of the open hand.
Because even with the conclusion of the battle, like it wasn't the Republic that came and saved the day. Sure, they were involved, but like it was literally Iram and Arano choosing to do it on their own. Sure, Chancellor Malo was trying to unite them together and doing what he could, but he was basically like, you guys have the power to save the day. The Republic can't do this type of thing. So I thought that was cool. And so Sun and Ada, they're there, and they randomly run into Yaddle, and Yaddle has a little friend. And not a Padawan, but a youngling named Sippa. And Sippa is, I don't know if they stated her age, but she was probably like a 6-7-year-old. Someone who is aware enough to know who she is and what she can do, but not old enough to process the bigger picture of everything going on.
No.
How would you guys feel about her in the, like, as a character? She's cool, but like her being in this situation, like, how'd you guys like her? Feel
I
about her?
liked it
Why, Drew?
because I think it added more. It made Yaddle more cautious in what she was doing because she had to take care of someone young. Like, so Yaddle couldn't just like go and do things. So it added more of a depth to her character, and it leaves you more wondering, like, if she didn't have that responsibility, would she just go ham and like take over and potentially end up dying from, like, she could have ended up dying in certain situations in the battle due to being stuck in one area. Like, the Nameless could have ended up getting Yaddle if she didn't have to like take care of this youngling and go throughout the war with kind of like a something to take care of. So I think I think the way they like did it was a way to like kind of let Yaddle seems more of not unstoppable like a Yoda character. Like, if Yoda was at the battle the entire time, it'd be a lot different result of a battle than if Yoda came, because Yoda came super late to the whole thing. So I think if, because Yaddle was there early, but Yaddle had a responsibility, like, I feel like it made it seem like Yaddle couldn't do as much. So it was a way to like calm her character down and let these other characters throughout the book like shine more.
That's a really
So
interesting point.
I
Yeah.
thought it worked well. And then it was really cool to see like when they're all fighting and then all of a sudden you see these like people blow up in the air, just like all this like open hand characters just fly here and there, and then I was like, dang it, I'll be right back. Like, she had to run and like take care of this youngling that's like, what? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, what? I can't. I wanted help.
I want to help. My favorite line from Sippa is when Yaddle puts her in that root vegetable box.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not a root vegetable.
It's so cute.
I thought it was the funniest line in the whole book. Like,
yeah. I don't know. It just like made you like, it worked for me. Like, I think it worked. Cause like, I know that Yaddle is like super BA too, just like Yoda. So if Yaddle was able just to go ham, then it would just be like, the battle wouldn't have seemed as intense. Like the Nameless would have actually ended up having to kill more to make the battle more intense. But because of that, the battle felt more intense because like certain characters were not as accessible as others. And Yoda was late to the party, and then he ended up leaving. He didn't even get down to the battle right away because he went to go help the people that, whatever their names is, that like send out the signal in space. So like, there's at one point you think Yoda's gonna be there, and then he's on the like the ship. He went back up to go help the other people who are like, I wanted Yoda to go ham, but I guess not. But yeah, I don't know. It worked for me.
any thoughts, Grace? Or
no, it's like one where I totally agree with Drew. Like, if you stop to think about it, it's like, oh man, is it like weird that this child is in a war zone? And like, maybe, but I also guess it's like, I agree with how important her character was to allowing other characters in the story to develop. And I liked the idea that like some Jedi younglings get like a special sort of instruct. I don't know. It just added a different level of nuance and texture to the whole Jedi training process. Kind of like Anakin and Obi-Wan had their like special situation going from the beginning. Like, people like Sippa
Anakin literally had a youngling or a Padawan, but was still a Padawan.
Yeah, like so. Like,
So
it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, to Drew's point, like, he made a point that he thought it kind of Sippa held Yaddle back a little bit. Like, I don't think I felt that way. Yeah, she had to like make sure Sippa was safe and not in a bad situation, but it really pointed to how confident she was in the Force, that even with Sippa there, like, she was in full control. Like, she felt she was in control. She wasn't worried really. yeah, Sippa always disobeyed and got in trouble and stuff, but like the confidence that Yaddle had, even with having Sippa like being a potential problem, like I was just like, dang, she's super good at taking care of Sippa and fighting in the middle of a war at the same time. Like it's not like a burden to her. Like she just, this is what has to be done. I have to do this. The Force wanted me here, and I'm confident in the Force. And I really like that. Yaddle, I just thought was really great. And we find out that she's about 200 years old. Because I don't know, there was a line when like Yoda comes in and Sippa is like, "Is he your brother?" And she's like, "No, he's not my brother." And she's like said that Yoda was several centuries older. So several centuries, makes him 500-600 years older, or at the age of that. And so then when you progress another 350 years, it brings him up to about that 850-ish years when episode 1 comes out, and then closer to 900 when he dies. So I don't know. It was pretty cool. So yes. So you have Master Sun, Ada Forte, Yaddle, Sippa, and then 2 Coruscant like guards, or like whoever they were. They were with them to help infiltrate the compound. And
Yes.
whenever it's a compound, you don't want it to. That's just a bad.
That's such a good point, Jeremiah. Like, can we think of any positive compounds?
Interest.
Probably something in science.
Hit the button,
that was
Drew.
funny. That was funny.
No, not no.
Oh, sorry. This one. My bad. Wrong button.
But yeah, if you're ever walking around in the middle of the woods and you come across like something that says compound on the side, just go the other way, because there's a cult. There's probably serving some Kool-Aid
terrorist
in there.
Organization. Like, all bad.
Yep.
The path of the open hand.
Yep. And then it turns into a fist if you get too close. But yes, so their plan is, and this was actually kind of like Sippa's plan, which is kind of funny. We need to split up, and so they actually do split up. So it's kind of funny because Sippa is supposed to stay with the 2 guards at the ship, while Ada, Sun, and Yaddle go into the compound, and Yaddle was like, I know it's just gonna be for a little bit, and it was only about 30 minutes that they were apart, and then they had to bring Sippa to Yaddle, and she's like, "What did you do to them?" And the guard's like, "We don't want to talk about it." I'm like, what did he do?
Was funny.
And then it was kind of funny later on in the book when they go back to the ship after like they got like attacked or whatever. Sippa like talks to Yaddle, and I like, "Are you sure about those guards? They're a little like," and goes like wiggles her hand, teeters her hand, like, "They're not that good." It's kind of funny.
Why were those guards there? I just feel like they were adding nothing. Like they were more of a liability than.
Well, I think Chancellor Greylark wanted people with
her, like her people
with Sun and Ada, because they were supposed to be the only ones there, so they wanted 2 and 2.
I see.
And so they end up splitting up. So Sippa and Yaddle, they stay above ground and kind of sneak around the compound, and Ada and Sun, they actually go down into the caves and to investigate what's going on down there. And so on the surface, Yaddle and Sippa, they go to all the different buildings, and it's filled with elderly people. Like there's an elderly person about to die, like, and then they like talk to them, and they're just kind of like, screw Force users, like it's wrong to use the Force or whatever, and they're just happy to be like. It implied that they were like the first defense, because the good guys aren't going to bomb where they know there's innocent civilians, in a sense, elderly people. And as Yaddle and Sippo are looking around, they find weapons, and then they find these piles of haystacks, and they're covering anti-aircraft weapons, and they're like, "This is not good. Something's going down. This is not good. Let's go back to the ship." They go back to the ship, and some Path members are there attacking or whatever. Sippa gets shot. I think just stunned, but not shot. And then Yaddle was like, "I didn't want to fight, but looks like we're gonna tango a little bit." And so we don't even see what happens. Like, it just shows that Yaddle is ready to fight, and it cuts it. And we don't actually hear from them for quite a while. And then Sun and Ada, they go underground. They're trying to like pretend like they're Path members. Like, sorry, where do we go again? Like, what path do we go to? They're just like following people, like whatever. And they're just kind of trying to figure things out. And what they see is a person being dragged and to be punished, and they realize that this person is force. They could sense that this person was force sensitive, and it was a Path member, right? That was lying about being
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And so they're like, they found out that he was force sensitive, and they're gonna punish you. We're gonna bring you to the leveler, the weapon leveler. And so like Sun and Ada are like, "What is this leveler? A weapon? Like, what is it?" And then they feel the effects of the Nameless, the leveler, and they're both just consumed by fear. And I really like the audiobook because they changed the music to this. It's a very eerie, scary music from this book and in the other books too. Same music, and they're just in deep fear, terrified. And like they get away to a room, and it kind of calms down a little bit, and then they see this person that was tortured, like their body,
Yeah.
and it's like, but I don't think it was fully, but like part of his body was turned into dust or whatever. And I'm like, what happened? Like, what is going on? Like, how is this? Like, was this their weapon? Like, it affects the force? Like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. So they're super confused. And while they're down there, they find a room full of different types of Clytobacter. And they're like, yep, here's the information we needed. The Path to Open a Hand is the one who created the Clytobacter. And so this is the evidence we need to but to find guilty these people, that it wasn't Iram or Arono or anything like that. So they try to escape, but they get lost, and then they're fighting underground. And we get kind of cut off from them for a little bit. Like, we just get very little bit from them, and about them just fighting underground, getting overwhelmed, and them kind of worried about the fear coming back. Like, are they going to use the weapon on us and all that stuff? And so that is kind of the part of that story. And so we will jump to the third storyline with Ziri and Charo Roy and
Enya and Fontu.
Well, we don't not need to talk about Fontu yet because he isn't in the story yet. But yes, Fontu, he was, because he was stabbed, he was, in the hospital or whatever, trying to recover. Ziri was like, well, we still need peace. Like, the Path of the Open Hand, they're on Dalna. They caused the problem on Jeddah. Like, our ambassador, I think their ambassador died or whatever that was sent.
Yeah, yes. On Jeddah.
And so they're like, well, we don't have any more people that can go or want to go. So I'm the princess. I'm in charge, basically. I'm going to go. And so her and the two Jedi are like, we're going to go to Dalna, and hopefully we can talk directly to the mother and get this figured out. See if we can get some common ground. And she's like reading like these stupid textbooks about diplomacy and like whatever. And she's just like, this is kind of, there was actually some interesting like points that she was reading out loud, but like, I'm like, I don't care. This isn't gonna work. If I know Star Wars, this is Star Wars, not Star Peace. So this book
always
isn't
the aggressive negotiations that work the best.
Yeah, always with a light. There was plenty of lightsabers in this one. You're right. So they go to meet on Dalna, and so how do I want it? Because now this is where all these paths are coming together, and so while they're on their way there, and everything else is going on, Binat and Axel, they arrive on Dalna, and Axel meets with the mother face to face, and she's basically like, we want you to invite your mother to come here, and we're going to blackmail her so that she does everything that I, the mother, and the Path of Open Hand want to do in the galaxy, and you're going to be our bait / leverage, kind of.
Yeah.
And Axel was kind of promised like power and influence, like, you can be the one running the galaxy, not your mother. And he's kind of like, he's Axel, so he kind of, I guess that's something I could do. And so he has to send a message to his mother to say, hey, come here, I'm free, come here, we need to talk to the mother, we got to go talk about all this stuff. So Chancellor Glayrock gets the message, and she's like, I'm going to go, but I'm going to resign my power so that I can't be manipulated, because obviously no one's going to trust this. So, because she's like, come with no guards or protection, or just come by yourself. I'm like, what?
Yeah, okay.
Like, have you ever watched a movie? Like, do they have movies in Star Wars? Like, that's not how it works. And so she's like, I'm going to go. Yoda's like, I'm coming with all these other Jedi, and we're gonna get a nice like military ship that's all like full of weapons and stuff. We're gonna go, and we're gonna figure this out. I was like, cool, Yoda. He's like
stepping up, yeah,
like
doing something,
yeah. And so that happens, but then Gela and Oren, they get off the ship that they snuck onto, and they're like, all right, we're here. We got to find Axel and figure out what's going on. They open up some of these crates that were like filled with food, and they weren't filled with food. They're filled with enforcer droids. And the thing that upset me the most, now looking back, there's way more than just these 30 crates. They had all kinds of enforcer droids already on the planet. But I'm like, you know that they're going to cause problems with these. Why wouldn't you just like poke each box with your lightsaber, disable each one, and you don't got to worry about them later?
It's a good point. Yeah.
I was kind of frustrated. I'm like,
do that.
Destroy them right now. They're not going to be used to any good. Like, they're not like protocol droids. Like, they just destroyed your precious statue on Jeddah. Like, these are not going to be good droids. That frustrated me. But whatever. They find Axel as he's recording the message and is about to send it, and Gela is like, no, don't push the button.
Yeah. And he's
like, you're still alive? Oh, I'm happy you're alive. I really didn't want to kill you. Really? Oh, okay.
Oh, such a toxic romance. We love it.
You love toxic romance?
I
do. So they're talking and they're arguing, and Binat, he comes in. Oh, we should say Binat and Axel have been friends for quite a while.
They were kids.
Like teenagers, kids type of thing. And so Binat, he's trying to like convince Axel to be fully engulfed in the path of the open hand. And so he has this moment where he has to choose, am I going to push the button or not? Binat shows up, and then they start fighting. And I was so mad when Binat stabbed Oren with the poison.
Yeah.
I was so sad. I liked him. I knew people had to die in this book, but like when people died,
surprised more people didn't die in this book. Truthfully,
but it's like when people died, like it just happened. Like you weren't ready for it. Like later on, when Charo Roy died, it was just like Gela was just like, I just sensed him die, and we didn't see it. And when we found out he got killed by a nameless, I'm like, oh, what? He's like a main character in these two
underwhelming.
Books. But it goes to show, like from Gela's perspective, like how it happened. Like it just happened.
That's
like,
true.
No one knows what's going on. It's just chaos is happening. But anyway, Binat is like, Gilla, just surrender. I got the antidote. If you just surrender, we'll save him. And she surrenders, and he's like, gotcha. I don't got any antidote. And so Oren suffocates and dies, and Gilla is captured. And Binat has both the purple lightsabers. And the message was sent too.
Yeah. Gala took a lot of L's. I felt very sorry for her, but like she needed to move on to somebody better.
Alexander Blitz in the chat says, sorry, I just noticed. Cool hoodie, Grace.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's really cool. It says I am no Jedi. I got it on Etsy.
It was pretty dope. It's just that patch too. There's nothing on the back.
It's just that patch, yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Cool.
Thank you. No one ever notices it. I'll wear it out in public and I won't even get any comments.
Well,
like no one's like, what is that Jedi? Oh, it's weird. Anyway.
You got to be a light in life at your campus to like promote Star Wars. I'm on this podcast. Go check out this podcast I'm on.
I try. I'm spreading the word slowly but surely.
Yeah. So, moving on. Ziri, Roy, and Keen, they arrive. They land. Or, sorry, they didn't land. They come into the planet. Hey, I'm Princess Ziri. I don't know. Hey, we want to talk. We just want to talk. What's going on? Let's talk. And the elder of the path is like, we don't like you, but if you want to give us a gift, a good faith gift,
yeah,
like that'd be cool. Like, well, I got my knife. No, I don't want a knife. That's stupid. Who cares about a knife? And then Enya Keen was gracious enough to be like, hey, I'm not gonna give you. We're not gonna give over our lightsabers, but I'll give you my kyber crystal. And he's like, that's good enough. And so they go down, and they're trying to talk, and tensions are high. The elder is just like triggered by every little thing, like thinks everything is going. Obviously, he can't. This is his enemy, so like he's not supposed to like be trusting. I get it, but he wasn't willing to talk at all, obviously. And while she's talking, Ziri's talking, like her comm is going off, and she's like trying to turn it off. Like Sabi says, you know, it's Fontu. I'm like, oh, gosh, Fontu, you've not been present in this book really at all. So why do you need to pop in now? And she's talking. Then she accidentally turns the comm on by pushing the wrong button. And she's like, he's like, do you need reinforcements? And crap hits the fan.
Oh,
and Fontu, he's just the worst, isn't he? And
you're making me dislike him, and I had no issue with him the first times I read this book.
But yeah, so while this is happening, there's like explosions going off in the background, and Creighton's son and Ada Forte, they're fighting on. Finally got out of the tunnels, and they're fighting. And then more fighting's happening now on the platform where the ships landed. And so then the two groups are running to each other, and they're trying to like get together and fight against all these path members that are coming out of the caves. And I think it was maybe around this point, like they send like a comm out, like a message out asking for help. And they immediately get like a response from another Jedi, couple of Jedi. Oh, we're on Dalna too. We were actually sent after to like stop you guys or something from the. And we're like, what? There's already other Jedi and they're fighting underground also. I'm like, dang, like, okay. And so
the Jeremiah. I feel like that moment in particular is like a good representation of what you were saying earlier about how fun it is that like all of these storylines just come together and you're like, oh my gosh, like everyone's here, like this is so big.
Yeah, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. All these people showing up. So like this is when the enforcer droids start coming through like the wheat field or something. Like it's just super scary, like just like the red eyes like coming through, and they're like, all right guys, we gotta go, get back to the ship. Classic Star Wars, get back to the ship.
Get back to the ship.
As long as they're going to the ship, they see it get blown up by some past ships they're flying over. And Yaddle is like, hey, I got my ship. Let's jump on that one. And as we're running to that in the distance, that ship gets blown up too. Because they say they reconvened with Yaddle and Sippa and the two guards or whatever as they're trying to escape. And so Yaddle's ship gets blown up, and so they send out like I don't know if it was another comm or if it was the same one from earlier, but another Jedi comes like, "Hey, we're in the Dalton system, but the communications buoy's been down, so we can't go anywhere, call anyone, whatever. But we heard your message. We're coming. We're on our way." And they like land in like the city, the main town, and hey, we got some warriors, we got some people that are gonna help us fight. We're on our way. And this is just when crap hits the fan. Like it's this nonstop battle for like 12 to 18 hours. It turns into dusk. It turns into the midnight. It's raining like crazy. This is like Camino is like a light drizzle compared
Yeah.
to this.
Literally like floods throughout the whole battle.
I was thinking about this, like rereading it. Like they must have been so wet and uncomfortable. And the fact that they're still out there, like nonstop fighting, like no chance.
Well, they're talking about how it was even hard to like block like laser shots because the water was like in their way. Like that's how bad the rain was.
Yeah, that could not.
It's kind of like, wonder if they had problems driving Jeeps too.
I wonder if they lost
their ships,
their
hovercrafts, their speeders,
their iPads.
Their iPads. Their
what are those called? There's a word for the pads.
I know.
Oh no, Jeremiah.
The pads.
Yeah,
data pad.
They probably got their data pads lost and destroyed.
I would say tablet, but I would say Questus, but that's the Thrawn. That's like the Chiss word, Questus.
I think it's data pad. Data pad's definitely the word.
Oh, Sergeant Dan's asked you, Grace, did you ever find that Ahsoka jacket yet? No.
Oh no! Thank you.
I tried looking for that for you. Like I looked for you, like on eBay and stuff, trying to find you one.
Yeah,
what is this
and
story?
That's a whole other story. Go listen to. Was it?
I
think it was the comics.
Basically, Drew, you know how they were like Columbia every year has their like Star Wars Columbia jackets?
They have the Vader one right now.
Yeah, cool, right? But like a few years ago they had an Ahsoka one.
Yes.
And it sold out immediately, and I tried so hard to get one, and then I looked on eBay, like it was a whole thing, and I have yet to be able to find one. So
it's like I went on eBay looking for you. And there's all these other Star Wars Columbia jackets, but no Ahsoka ones.
Yeah, because they had like the Luke one, and they had the Boba Fett one. I have the Boba Fett shirt, Columbia shirt, and hat.
Cool. Oh, cool.
My wife got me that, I remember. But then, yeah, we saw the Vader one. Dude, they look so sweet, but they're so expensive.
Yeah.
Like a hoodie or like a t-shirt was like $70. I was like, what are we doing?
Too much. It's too much.
What are we doing?
I told you last time, Jeremiah, or maybe I didn't, but like I was in such a desperate state to get this jacket that my dad sent a letter to the president of Colombia being like, my daughter loves Star Wars.
Oh, really?
Please help her. And like, obviously they didn't respond.
You can't find it at all?
I could have. It wasn't like on anything. It was just like the original like news articles. But anyway, they definitely needed some good rain jackets during this battle.
They could have used a Columbia jacket, that's for sure.
But like, what they really needed, you know, when it's cold outside, rainy, and you want to warm yourself up a little bit, a hot beverage would have worked really well in this situation. Coffee, tea. I think Sippa would have enjoyed sipping a little hot beverage too. I don't, but her, with decaf. But caffeine, she would have won that battle all by herself.
Yeah, exactly. She would have just threw everyone away.
But yes. So if you are in the middle of a compound fighting for your life during the rain in the middle of the night, and you need something to help you stay warm, put a little pep in your step, why don't you consider getting some coffee or tea from Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So take a little listen to this commercial break.
Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor of today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that whether you live in the Twin Cities or not, you can get their coffee beans delivered straight to your door by ordering them online. They even have a subscription service that ensures you never run out of amazing coffee. If you've been looking for some new coffee to try or a way to elevate your normal coffee routine, now's your chance. Head over to wesleyandrews.cc, use the code EMPIRERADIO, that's with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, to get 15% off your first purchase of any bags of coffee or a coffee subscription. I can't think of a better deal. Get 15% off some great coffee, support a small business, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
All right. So while all this battle is going on, blah blah blah, the message that Keon Greylark sent back in response, saying she's on her way, gets back to the mother and Axel and stuff. And this is when she says, you know, I'm resigning being chancellor. I'm just coming as a mother. And so the
Not to
mother,
get you confused with the mother.
yeah, the mother.
That got a little confusing.
Well, later on, Axel did start calling her mom, which would made it a lot
Yes.
better. But so the mother from the path, she's super mad because her whole entire plan is ruined, and like she basically says that Axel is of zero value now. Bennett, do whatever you want with him because he's pointless now. Like he's the only reason I wanted him here was so I could use him to get to his mother. Now that she's not going to be chancellor, he's done. So Axel gets taken away, and we'll get back to that later. War's going on. Everyone's dying. More and more people are coming. More Jedi are arriving. I think like at one point, like random pirates come and they're helping the Path of the Open Hand. I'm like, why are you in league with the Path of the Open Hand? Whatever. They're fighting, and Ziri, Fontu, and TG the droid, they go off and they are like, we got to find a ship. Like Ziri, she's a starfighter pilot, super good, military trained, whatever. She's like, I just need to get in the air. If I can get in the air, I can help a lot. And they find this basically a shed and on a farm type thing, and there's a starship in there, super crappy, like the first one ever made. Like it's barely anything. It's just falling apart, holes in it. They had to like fix it. They had had to like plug in and like, this is what's wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Ziri's like, all right, I gotta get it fixed. And they're able to get up and out, and they're actually like shooting down ships and doing some stuff. Fontu's like tail gun, like shooting, like he has no idea what he's doing. He's just there having fun, whatever. And they're flying around, but then they realized, I think one of the Jedi was like, hey, if you can leave and get out of the atmosphere and go get help, that would be great because you can't comm. So if you can get out there, and they're like, I don't know if we can make it. We don't know if this thing is hyperspace worthy, whatever. Well, either way, you're gonna die. So just go, like type of thing. And so they're able to make it up. They get out into space. They hit the hyper lane. They're there for like 30 seconds, and then they fall out of hyperspace. Their hyperdrive broke. Classic Star Wars. Like,
Classic.
Hyperdrive.
Classic, like stranded in space.
And they're like in the middle of nowhere. They're not even like, they didn't like pop out at a nearby planet. Like they're just literally in the middle of nowhere. They don't know how to do anything, but they're able to send out a message, and the information finally gets out to like the Republic and also to Chancellor Malo and Arano and Iram. They kind of get the information, and that's where we kind of hear from them. And then I totally forgot about them until they arrived back later on in the book, which was a fun
Yeah.
surprise for me.
Do you also dislike Ziri? I forget.
No, she was fine. It was just
Okay.
fun too. Had no personality and was just didn't do anything last book.
Yeah.
He was just there for the ride. He's just like, yeah, whatever Ziri wants. Like, I've never had to make a decision in my life ever before because I was pampered in the palace while Ziri's out there fighting wars. Like,
Yeah.
she's the competent one. But I don't know. They actually seemed like they were in love in this book, where last book it was just kind of
Yes.
like, obviously it was just a political thing. But here,
And like a realistic love. It's so you're like they have problems and they're working through them and like figuring out each other's strengths.
it was like communication. How am I supposed to know unless you tell me, Ziri? Like classic, like
It was like, yeah, they needed marriage counseling already, like really bad. But I like the relationship a lot more in this book than the last one, for sure.
yeah.
Maybe
And-
Jeremiah's right. It's just because we had less of it. We all liked it more.
Well, I think it mattered.
Yeah.
Like it mattered in the last one because it was like political. Like they got married for that reason, but they actually like each other. It was last book was like more Romeo and Juliet kind of situation, kind of thing, and this book was like, all right, what would have happened to Romeo and Juliet if they actually didn't end up dying?
Spoilers.
Well, okay, my bad.
The
My
story is
bad.
like 500
Spoilers
years
for
old.
Romeo
My
and
bad.
Juliet. Oh my gosh.
My bad.
We'll
You
edit that
haven't-
out.
Yeah, we gotta edit that. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it was fine in this book, and like your point, Jeremiah, I totally forgot about them too. Like that battle was so intense and so long, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah,
But I think that was
that was
to the favor of the book. Like
yes, that was on purpose.
if it was like it was kind of hinted at what they were gonna do, but it was just very brief. But if they were more like outright, like saying, "Oh, we're gonna bring our military and fight back," then I've been expecting it the whole time. So I appreciated that.
Mhm.
So at some point during the battle, Binat, he's the mother's gone, the elders they're gone. Binat, he's basically self-appointed in charge, and he's now changed the name of the Path of Open Hand to the Path of the Closed Fist. Like we're here to fight. We're not inviting people to join us. We're fighting against our enemies, and so he's in charge. He's trying to call shots. He goes down, gets Axel, who's in holding or whatever. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna make you fight. We're gonna go fight in join this battle." And when he says "we," he's basically you, Axel. You go fight. They get up to the surface. One like young kid, I forget what species they said he was, but he's like 18, and just saw his mother die and Bennett wanted him to go kill and fight. He's like, I don't want to do this. This isn't what I signed up for. And he's like, all right, that's your final decision. Axel, kill him.
Yeah.
Axel's like, no, I'm not going to kill him. And then an explosion goes off. Axel gets hit with a shard of shrapnel in his chest. Bennett thinks he's dead. So Axel's body gets thrown into a pile of dead bodies. Whatever. A couple chapters later, Axel wakes up and he's like, this is not good. He pulls out the shrapnel. Don't do that, kids. Leave the shrapnel in. And he's like, I got two things. This is my plan. Live, find Gela. I guess that's a good plan. Like, what else are you
Priorities
gonna do?
are straight. Like, not a single thought for his mother.
Oh, and Quinn,
for
we
anything
should say
else,
his droid Quinn was destroyed at this point.
Mm.
Like, I think smashed or whatever by Bennett
Yeah.
or something. So he
Poor
ends up, he
Quinn.
goes find Gela. They argue, whatever. Classic Axel Gela. They're arguing about can't be trusted, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm sorry. You said that before. Like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they go out, they finally get on terms, whatever. They go up to the surface. They're fighting. And they see this, like, ship flying around. Like, because it said early in the book that Chancellor Glark and Yoda and them were on a trapezoid-shaped ship. And it said they saw a trapezoid-shaped ship flying around, shooting ships down. I was like, oh, dang. Like, Chancellor,
They're
or
here.
the Grey, Keong is her first name. Keong is here. She's fighting. And they're just blowing up ships. They finally land, but Gela and Axel are ready to, like, shoot him. And Gela's like, right when the door opens, start shooting. And they start shooting, and then it pauses, and then Keong is like, are you really going to shoot your mother?
Yeah, that was a great line. That was another line I loved.
And then Axel's like, mother, you're here? And so then they meet up. They kind of like devise a plan, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And like later on, like Binot, he's like in a control center type thing or whatever. And the Keong, the mother, is like basically like gonna try to like kamikaze crash into like where Binot is to like kill him or something. I don't know. They just kind of like crash landed where Binot was to like try and stop him, because they can stop him. They can stop the leader of the battle type of thing. And they crash, and it doesn't really. Binot gets away, and at this point, Creighton's son and Ada Forte, they're down for the count, like injured really bad, because Gela sees it, runs to them. They're both still alive at this point. But I'm like, well, people have to die in this thing. Like, are these two going to die? Are they going to survive? But then at the same time, Gela like feels Chiro Roy die. I'm like, dang it. Like, we didn't get to see that, but she just feels it. And whatever, battle's going on. And eventually, Axel and Gela, they go underground to find Binot. They find Binot. The caves are starting to flood with water because it's raining so much. They go down there. They find him. They fight, and Binot accidentally stabs himself with his poison gloved hand.
Kind of. There was like a tussle.
There was a tussle, but I don't know how you like go like that to yourself. Like, I don't know.
It almost made it feel like he pushed his hand towards him.
Maybe because he was about to like shoot him or something. Axel was about to shoot him, but then he's like, "I'm not going to be the one to kill him. I'm just going to let him die," type of thing, because he got stabbed by his own hand, and so he dies, and the flooding is going crazy, and they're trying to get out. Gela and Axel are trying to get out, and they get trapped. I'm like picturing the Titanic this whole time, like Jack and Kate trying to like, they get to the gate where it's like locked, and then like the guy like drops the keys, or like, sorry, I gotta go, and I'm like, like. So I was kind of like picturing that, but it's like, instead of like fancy hallways, it's muddy, rocky, sandy hallways, and they're struggling, and then they get overwhelmed, and they're basically covered in drowning.
Yeah.
Flash to the surface. And so a lot of these chapters, like, they're overlapping. So like you hear one thing, but then like it kind of goes back in time and overlaps. So it's like, even though these are kind of like in a certain order, while this is happening, other things are happening that lead into the same event that we just read about. So as the battle's going on, hero music turns on, and it's Ziri, Princess Ziri, with the Thyro Flyer Squadron. And so all the military from Arano and Iram, they show up, and they just take out the path open. And I didn't mention this, but there's probably literally hundreds, if not thousands, of path members that are just continually coming out of the ground to like fight this whole time. So like, I didn't mention that earlier, but like, it's literally like probably like 10 or 20 bad guys to one good guy in this whole thing.
Yeah, there are so few Jedi.
Yeah, and
I was thinking that too.
And the Nameless is running around killing Jedi too.
Yes.
There's, I think they said there was 3 of them running around.
Did they say how many there were?
I thought they said there was 3 or something. But in there, I don't know.
Made it seem like they didn't know.
Well, no, they didn't. No one knew what was going on. Like they just saw a creature in the distance, and that's all they saw. And
Yeah.
anyone who got too close couldn't report it. Spoiler alert: they die. Like,
Oh.
no.
No.
Anyway, so the military show up and save the day, and Yoda is finally there. You know, Yoda was there with when Keong showed up. Like it's kind of like pieces kind of happening. There's little skirmishes here and there, but Yoda's talking in there with Yaddle. Hey, girl, how's it going? How's your life? And explosions underground start happening. So all the cave systems, like a huge cave system, they're all seems like they're just blowing up the compound underground. And Yaddle and Yoda are like looking around like part of the town or whatever, and all these explosions, like, do you sense that? I think there's a Jedi trapped under, and there's someone else under there too. And they're like finding where like the tunnel went down where Axel and Gela went through, and they're like looking at this, and I really like Yaddle was like earth, and Yoda was like water. And it's basically they're water benders and earth benders. Like this was like the craziest.
Okay, it's all coming together.
Yep. So if you stayed this long, that was supposed to be my intro.
That was his intro joke.
It didn't really work out, but now you get the punchline. And
Okay. Nice. I was pretty shocked that both Axel and Gela survived. I was convinced that it was similar to what you were saying, Jeremiah, it was gonna be a Titanic situation and one of them wouldn't make it.
Right. And so like I'm guessing that when Yoda and Yaddle showed up, it was right when they got covered with the water. So it wasn't like, because if you're reading it, it seems like it's been about like an hour since they've been trapped underground. But I think it was just like right when it was like perfect timing. And so Yaddle, she's focusing on pulling all the mud and the stones and the sand out from this hole and for going in one direction. And Yoda is bending the water out in the opposite direction. I don't know. I thought that was a cool scene.
And it makes sense because Grogu is really good with like earth, like wind. That makes
wind, fire. You mean he's a firebender? Well,
true, that too.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
wow.
Sense. Definitely not.
That their kid could do
That's
that.
not. No.
It's very logical. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, I will never. If they come out saying that Yaddle and Yoda are parents of Grogu, I will rage quit Star Wars. Like. I'd be so mad.
But what if they did it because like Yoda and Yaddle were trying to like
the last of their species and
they were cloning themselves. It's not like they had a kid together, like they were cloning themselves and Grogu came. And that's why he is so valuable to them and like why the whole cloning situation and why they need
if it's cloning, then that's one thing. But I'm saying
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's like.
But then they're not parents. They're just.
Oh, they donated like the genetic material.
Yeah, their material together.
That's fine, but I also don't think that they would do that because it's not the Jedi way.
Well, Yoda hides a lot of things from the Jedi Order. You want to get technical? We can get technical.
He's like, "Hey, Jedi Council, I found this random baby of my species in the woods. Like, we're bringing him in."
I have no idea where he came from.
No one knows where we came from, so. But maybe I was on Camino for a little bit.
Creighton's son's in the background, like, I don't know about that, Master Yoda. Like, I don't know, but. Yeah, they pull the water out, and then Ada Keen pulls the bodies out with the Force. Now, this was a missed opportunity. It should have been Sippa that pulled the bodies out of the water.
Yeah, because Sippa can
because she's super good with telekinetic power. Like that's like her gift. Is like she's really good, and that's all she did was lifting up bodies and droids and like crashing them down on the ground to like stop them. Like. That should have been Sippa pulling Gela and Axel out of the water to save the day. To show that, like, because she's like, I want to help. Please, just let me help. I'm not a root vegetable. I can do something. Like, I was really upset with that, but whatever. And Keen did it.
You were really upset, or you're just like, oh, it's a missed opportunity?
Both.
Oh.
I threw my book across the room, Drew. Just kidding.
I think I like Simba too because she reminded me a lot like Miles.
No.
Like always trying to do
Disobedient.
It's like disobedient, always trying to help, but it doesn't really help. It just creates more of a mess. Like it took me and Miles. Miles wanted to make Steph coffee this morning.
Oh.
It typically takes me like 3 minutes to make her coffee. It took us like 15 minutes.
No.
it was a lot. We almost spilled all the milk on the floor. It was a lot, but he did it, and he was super happy about it. But
Yep.
and then I was like, "You want to try it?" Ew. I'm like,
Funny. But that's the end of like everything that went down on Dalna. So in the last like chapter, a long. All of these chapters are super long. Like
super long.
So long.
Like they were like.
I was like on the last chapter today. I was like, "Oh, one chapter left. It's not bad." I was like,
It was 43 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, "What are we doing?"
There was
here?
like a lot of them were like half hour, 40 minutes. Like I think the first like main
There's
chapter
only
was
33
like 50
chapters in this book.
Yeah, so it was pretty.
And the audio is like 16 hours long. There's only 32 chapters in the entire book.
1.3 speed. That's what
I did 2.
How do you do? I tried doing 1.4 just to go a little bit faster, and I couldn't.
Oh, I did
way
2.
I don't know how you do 2, dude. You had
crazy.
2 8-hour flights. Like you could have like slowed it down a little bit. And did you finish on the plane or did you?
No, I read it. I read it on the way back, but not on the way there.
Oh, okay.
Actually, no, it was opposite. I read it on the way there, not on the way back.
Are you jet lagged right now? You must be so
No,
tired.
I got back on Saturday, and I worked on. But you get back, and it's like the same day.
Yeah.
And if you have a cup of Wesley Andrews coffee or tea, you reset your system.
Or you sit in first class, you're good. You're Gucci.
Were you in first class?
Yes. So
Delta employees, I tell you, all that privilege.
It was chill. It was
abusing
nice.
your power over there. But
oh
anyway.
yeah, you know it. Yeah, it was chill.
Then the people walking past you with your duck hat on, like, how is this guy in first class?
Yep. No, I was wearing my Chiefs jersey too.
Oh, I saw you wearing that on your Instagram, wearing your jersey. People in Europe hate when Americans wear baseball caps and like sports jerseys.
There was like one baseball hat store, and I walked in there. It was like, what's that brand? Like 47 or whatever the main brand is for like the baseball shirt. Like there's lids here, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has the lids, and there's a million of them. And then there's a brand that's like under lids, like 47 or whatever. They had that store. I was like, oh, cool. I walked in. Everyone stopped what they're doing and came over. I kid you not, to look at my hat because it was so unique and different. I was like, because no one has hats there. And everyone was like, where did you get that? That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, America.
And I don't understand why Europeans are so opposed to baseball hats. Like, it's convenient. It like, yeah, but I know. But they're like, what do they wear to keep the sun off of their faces and not get?
They have long flowing hair, and like.
And London doesn't have sun, so
they don't need to block.
There's nothing to block. I mean, it was nice there though. It was like 50 degrees, and like it didn't rain at all while we were there. And back here it was like negative when we were there.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so. It's been so cold.
Anywho. After the fact, Gela, she's on a medical frigate. She wakes up. Axel's there. He's like, hey, girl, I wish I could stay, but I got to go to jail. So he goes to jail. His mom is like, yeah, I should probably take a vacation. I'll come visit my son in prison, but yeah. So that happened, whatever. We go to the funeral for Oren, Charil Roy, and Ada Forte. So Ada did die. It wasn't stated, I don't think, in the chapters, but it seemed that she was dying anyway. And Creighton's son gives the speech. He got his leg broke. When his leg broke in that thing, when he got hit by a speeder, I was like, "Oh dang, he's dying!" But he survived. But he's like walking with
rip his leg off though.
Yeah, he was walking with a cane. He did the speech at the thing, and it was super sad. Enya Keen was crying. She couldn't hold her emotions back, and so earlier in the book, when she gave her kyber crystal away, she didn't fight with her saber the whole battle. She found Oren's saber that was dropped by a path member, so she was fighting with that. And so like she was using that, but now she's like got her crystal back and used her saber, but then she had Charo Roy's saber, and she's like, well, I'm gonna hold on to it, and because I feel like the force is bringing us together, so she's gonna probably learn dual wielding, so she's holding on to that. And because her master died, Creighton's son is now her new master, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
And then we see this conversation with Master Sun and Master Yoda about the levelers / the nameless, and that's why they called the nameless, because they didn't even want to talk about it or give it a name. It's just a nameless thing no one knows about. And I don't know, we already talked about it earlier on, but
yeah,
it seemed kind of terrible, but it's also like it probably was the best choice maybe, but like what other options are there? Like you don't want to like leak too much information. And it makes sense why in phase 1 and 3 no one really knew about it, because there's no survivors, and then the one survivor turned to the dark side and was banned from the Jedi, the Aslan guy, and they didn't really have any information on it. But Yoda was the first person to like actually try and get a solution in phase 3, like with the nameless. He's the one that went and got Aslan, like, crap, this is coming back. I forgot about to take care of this thing on my checklist from 150 years ago. So they keep it a secret. And then the last little section is Arano and Iram having a celebration party of being united and having peace. And they were on the moon. Like they built like a certain like whatever, and you could see both planets at the same time, the blue one and the red one. And it was funny because it says like they turned the music on, like the band was playing, and the music in the audiobook was the throne room scene from episode 4, like that music. I'm like, what? This is like in-universe music in a sense. I don't know, like the John Williams Force theme with the whatever. But it's kind of funny, but
yeah.
And that's the book.
That's it.
Very chaotic book. Go read the book if you haven't. Well, read the first book and then this book, so it makes more sense. But very good book. I love the audio book with Mark Thompson. He's so good.
So good. So good.
Yeah,
One of the best. I just don't think any other audiobook narrators can compare.
Nope.
But any other thoughts? Or Grace, I know you've read some of the other books that tie in. Any other relevant information about the story we could know? Or
I mean, I guess the only thing I would tease is that clearly the like story of the path is not yet complete. Like there was this battle on Dalna, but like the mother gets away and like the main people get away. So there's still more to come if one was interested to learn more about like how the path develops into the Nihil.
Cool.
Is that the book? Like, is it? How many other books is there?
I think it's 2. I think it's like Path of Deceit and then one other that I forget what.
And those are both young adult, or a young adult and a junior?
Yeah, young adult.
All right.
And Caria Gray write those ones?
Maybe.
I think she did one of them.
One. Or she did one, but I don't know if it was from this or the last one.
I don't know. There was, I think Binot there was one point Binot mentions a Roe member in this book.
Yeah.
So there's a tie-in to the Roe family. So, but how many communications out of 10 are you, buoys out of 10 are you rating this book?
That's so random. I'll rate it like a 7 out of 10.
7, dang. Drew?
I was gonna rate it higher, but not like Grace said that.
Well, you can whatever.
I'll give it an 8.5.
Dude, I really like this book. I would probably give it a 9 If it's a 9.5, it's because one of the buoys is like working a little bit, not fully, like
Clicking.
a little crackly. But I really liked it. I'm really happy with it. I know last book, Grace was sad that we didn't like it, the first book,
Hmm.
and
So I'm happy that you guys like
yeah.
this
So
one so
now
much. It's
I'm like,
awesome.
as I'm going through this book, I'm like, I'm happy I can actually say something good because
I know the whole time I was reading, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't hate it yet. Am I gonna hate this? I was like the whole time. I was like,
well, you said like the first chapter you
Uh.
read that you were like, I might just not read this book and Jeremiah and Grace can do it.
yeah,
by
it was.
themselves.
I mean, it was a little
Oh
slow in the
no.
beginning.
Yeah.
But then like I just kept reading. I'm like, oh wait, okay, no, I like this.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Like I don't even know. I think it's like the whole Star Wars effect. We've been reading so many like bad books lately that like it just. I was afraid it was gonna be another one.
Yeah.
Because like okay, the last one I didn't like, and then
we did the Mace
The
Windu book.
the other High Republic you didn't like, right?
the
Like
Book
the
5.
phase 3.
yes, the 5 one I didn't like because
Like, we
the
read-
Eye of Darkness was so good. It was just amazing. So like for me, when the one after them was just like, oh, like what are we doing?
Yeah.
But then the Mace Windu book was
It was good, but it was weird.
I didn't like it.
It was just
yeah,
really
was just
different.
not-
I
was
still
not
recommend
it.
people reading it if you want to get some cool information about him, and if you want to. It's not a spoiler too much, but Grace, there is a fling that he has.
Oh.
the
True.
character.
With him?
So-
I'm not that invested in his romantic life.
That's fair.
But it's a toxic romance, though.
Very
So
toxic.
Oh,
It's
is it?
very. I mean, his character is a very toxic.
it's just a crazy. It's a
Character.
weird.
Yeah, it's
It's. I think you find it interesting, but
Okay, maybe I'm intrigued. Hmm.
but the audiobook, the guy does a pretty spot on Samuel L. Jackson voice. So
True.
it actually sounds like Mace Windu that we're used to from the movies. So
yeah.
um,
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm excited for the next book we're going through though.
Oh yeah, your Lost Stars coming on for
Oh.
our Valentine's Day special. So Grace will
that's-
be here for that. I got the book. I just got to start reading it. I got 3 weeks, so we'll be on that.
I'm so excited for that book.
And then our next book after that won't be till after Andor, because Andor was.
Do we even know what it is yet?
It'll probably be the final High Republic book, because that comes out in June, and Andor will be done end of June. So
When does Andor start?
Andor starts the
April.
April 20 something, 22nd.
Okay.
23rd,
Well, if it's
maybe.
4/20 is Easter, which is a Sunday, and the show comes out on Tuesday. So I believe it's the 22nd. So then that's depending on how they do those first episodes. It's either 10 to 12 weeks of Andor, which brings us to the mid to end of
I'm guessing we're getting
June.
to it.
because they did the first 3 episodes for season 1. So
Did we really?
yep. But anyway, Grace is trying to go to bed, so we should go over some voicemails.
Voicemails.
We got some, so let's transition over.
It's voicemail time.
All right. Well, we have 2. First up, we have one from Uncle Owen. So let's take a listen.
Hi, Empire Radio. Uncle Owen here. This week is the last week of Skeleton Crew for the last episode, and I only watched half of it so far, but my question for you guys today was, out of all the Star Wars movies or shows, which one was the most disappointing to you, and which one was the best that you were not expecting it to be good? So, yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you.
All right. Thank you, Owen. So he sent this in after we recorded last week. We recorded in the morning, so it wasn't in.
Yes.
But his question, our most disappointing Star Wars project, and then our most surprisingly good project. I would say
we probably have the same answer.
no. I don't know if we do.
Really?
6 months ago we would have had the same answer. I would say the most disappointing one is Acolyte.
Yeah.
I haven't said this on air, but I'm going to say it now.
Ooh.
The Acolyte is the worst Star Wars project of everything. Like,
Wow.
I
did
think
not
before
say that.
Acolyte, we would have said episode 8. But
Oh, okay. Whoa. I don't know if I agree with that.
what's
Still
worse
think
than
episode 8.
episode 8?
Nothing. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying we would have agreed on that beforehand. We both would have said episode 8.
I think he's asking shows though.
No, he said movies or shows. So it's
Okay.
all
then
together.
maybe.
What
You
would
think Acolyte's worse than episode 8?
Oh, yeah. There's barely anything good with Acolyte. But at least with
That's aggressive.
episode 8, there's great cinematography. There's some great scenes, some great moments that I guess it's like I don't like it. Acolyte, I hate. It's like it's the worst in every way. There's no redeeming qualities from it. And the most surprisingly good thing was Andor. No one cared about Andor going in. Then we got that first trailer, like, okay. And then it's like one of the best things in Star Wars.
Yeah, with the bell and all that stuff.
Yeah. Grace, how about you? Most disappointed project and then most surprised project.
I mean, you took like some of the good ones, so I'll just choose some other
You
ones.
can
that
say
I-
whatever you
choose
want.
No, I was also interpreting it as not movies. So then I was thinking shows, and I was like, do I pick The Acolyte? Because I feel kind of the same as you, Jeremiah. I'm gonna take a different take on this question though, and go with. I think the show I was most disappointed with was Ahsoka because I was so excited about the show and I wanted so much from it, and it didn't live up to the high expectations I set for it myself. Not necessarily because it was bad, but it could only do so much in one season.
Speaking of Ahsoka,
Yeah.
we know you are a big Game of Thrones fan. How do you feel about that new recasting for Balin Skull? Did you see
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I saw that. I
Like,
feel fine about it.
Is that actor, like, you feel that actor can take that role over? Because I don't know anything about that actor, so, like, I can't say, but you're familiar with them to some degree.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, it's hard because they don't look exactly the same.
Right.
The voice is similar though.
Yeah. I'm optimistic. I don't know, but the show that I was not expecting to be good that was Clone Wars. I like resisted watching it for so long, and then when I finally watched it, I was just like so impacted by it. So
Right.
that-
And then there was some other rumors for Ahsoka season 2
I
that
know that-
that we're gonna get Hayden, Ewan McGregor, and Natalie Portman in flashbacks to Clone Wars. Like,
Yeah, they're working on trying to get Natalie back.
I'm
saw
excited.
that.
they should. They
If
really.
she
should.
comes back, dude, I think that's more intense than.
Well, if they're gonna do that, they gotta have Tamora Morrison as Rex. Like, get some Rex action in there. They have to de-age him too, but like
but
Natalie Portman
but-
basically looks the same.
and
Like,
Natalie
whatever.
though, like people are more excited for that than Hayden Christensen or
Of course, it would be so crazy if they actually got her. Like
and to actually see Ahsoka interacting with her live action.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Like
Oh,
that's what's gonna be crazy. So there's still a
Wow.
lot of hope for Ahsoka.
I
They
agree.
just couldn't do a lot in that one.
exactly. Like
I'm excited.
I'm hopeful that they made a second season. Unlike Skeleton Crew, where I feel like we might never hear from them again. Like Ahsoka, they greenlit it. They're making it. They're
Yeah.
casting cool people. Whatever.
Filming this summer. So,
Yeah.
any more responses to Owen's questions? Anyone?
Well, I haven't gone,
Oh, okay, go.
bro. Okay. Well, if we're doing shows, Acolyte was the most disappointing because
Hmm.
we were super hyped for that show. I remember, I went to the 2-episode premiere in the movie theater.
Oh,
We
wow.
were super hyped for this show, and it was supposed to be super sweet. Bring the High Republic to it, and it was like the first 3 episodes were like, oh, okay, let's fill it out, and then just like
Yeah.
super
exactly.
bomb, and it was just not great. I think there's still a lot of I still like certain things, and
Episode
The-
5 was the only really good thing. That it was straight lightsaber fighting, the best we've ever
yeah,
seen.
and it was really good. And then also I don't know, seeing seeing the big bad at the end, yeah, I like that. I know people hate that we saw him Plagueis, but I loved it. I thought that was so cool. So, like, those things still stand out to me, and I enjoy it. Now, episode 8, there's nothing I can give any credit to. So that for
That's
sure
not
is still
true.
the
We've convinced you on cinematography and some
It doesn't
moments.
matter. The story's so bad that it's just not good. This is so bad.
All right, moving on. Thank
But
you,
then
Owen.
the thing that I was probably honestly Skeleton Crew. I had pretty low expectations for it. I know people were super pumped for it and like it was gonna be like Goonies, but like I was just like, oh, okay. And I enjoyed the show. I thought it was good. I don't necessarily need a second season, but if we get it, we get it. But I think it's a sleeper for sure.
All right, cool. All right, last up, of course, we got to have it. Garrett from the Coup d'etat verse is back.
Oh.
He left us off last, going back to the Colossus, which is where he started his pod racing and stuff like that, in his career over there. So it's like a full circle. He's looking for a spy, and last week he said it was a kid. We're like, who's the kid? Like, who's this spy? Well, we get a little bit more clarification. So let's take a listen.
Hey, Empire Radio, it's Garrett. Empress Palpatine showed me how to use the Force to get information out of the spy we captured, whose name is Kazuda Xiono. The whole process is quite excruciating for both parties involved, and I really don't want to use it again unless it's absolutely necessary, which is why I'm surprised that's what Empress Palpatine decided to open with. But the information we got off him is huge. We now know the Resistance base is on Dakar, and we will launch a full-scale ground attack once we arrive. Speaking of ground attack, what ground-based attack vehicle is your favorite? I really like the ATTE from the Republic because there's a lot of interesting features and abilities they have. One, for example, is the fact that they are walkers. It allows them to ground themselves so they are unaffected by ion disruptors. Another vehicle I like also from the Republic is the TX-130, just because it was my favorite thing to use in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And it was far superior to those Seppi tanks.
All right, thank you, Garrett. So, Kaz Xiono, who is the main character from the show Resistance, who is on the Colossus, spying on behalf of the Resistance. So, it's a full circle. What overlap is there going to be with the actual show? I don't know. But Empress Palpatine is a thing, so apparently doesn't have to follow the rules of the show. So, that's exciting. But his question, favorite ground vehicle in Star Wars? There's not a lot of them. But yeah, like AT-AT, AT-ST, he said ATTE, which I think is like the little like beetle thing from Clone Wars or something. That's a good one. Grace?
I
You don't care?
I like the thing that they drive in the Mandalorian episode where the Mandalorian has to remove his helmet to like get on
the
that
little
like
like
face thing.
the little flat
Yeah.
tank looking thing.
Yeah, that one was cool. I liked that episode.
Drew?
I like AT-AT. It's a classic, solid. Or the chicken walker. I mean, yeah,
AT-ST, yeah.
yeah, I like the chicken walker too.
All right,
not practical, but I like it. It's Star Wars.
All right, cool. Well, that is everything. So we'll go over some social media and we'll get out of here. So if you want to follow Empire Radio, go in the description, click the link, links.co, link spelled with 2 I's, click that, and a landing page for everything. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch for live streams, join the Discord, send a voicemail. If you haven't heard from you, we'd love to hear from you. There's a fan email, and there's also a link for needlesslynerdy.com, which is an entertainment network that we're a part of. So if you want to see more nerdy content, go over there and check them out. All right. Anything else, guys?
No.
All right. Well, you've been listening to another High Republic-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And I'm Grace.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.